It just seems like the media has really readjusted the goalposts on what has happened. I mean, everyone was saying taking the under on Vegas, under 3.5, under 3.5. And I mean, they broke that, but overall this season is still a success, and no one expected them to do 4 games. And, it's recency bias to say that they haven't done well this season at all.
I think if you would have sprinkled in Colorado's wins as like week 1, week 4, week 7, and week 11, that we would be digesting the season differently. I think that the hype that was created at the beginning by the winning streak caused a tidal wave of content and interest, and then they fell flat. If they would have just been a fun team to watch that lost a bunch of close games and won every now and then, that our perception of it would be different. But I want both of your opinions. Dave, we'll start with you since you're the beat writer. Was Colorado's season a success in your mind, and how should people digest what they did this year?
Yes, it was a success. For one, you improved. You rebuilt the roster, and in the midst of a lot of skepticism, like you said, you beat your Vegas over-under win total, which is not everything, but it's a decent temperature. You're over that already, despite being a 18-point underdog to Utah this week. But I think where you're really won here is, all right, this is still a business. You want to win, but this is still a business. And Colorado made so much money this year. And so if you want to call it a success, you could measure that by a number of measures, but you got an unprecedented amount of relevance for your program.
Well, it's not even a debate about whether or not the athletic director won.
Well, it's not about the athletic director. Well, it's not
in
about
the program. I mean,
you have to parlay that relevance into actual success in bringing dudes to your campus. Now, his high school recruiting has been, I would even say, bad. But
yeah.
Portal season is coming, and that is where Deion thrives. That is what he did last year. I think I wrote this column earlier this year. If you think you're going to try to build your lines that way, I think you got another thing coming. There's not dudes there, and you can't do that overnight. And if you're just going to flush both of your lines and just get new guys like he literally said he was going to do, that's not going to work in terms of building your program. But this year, to beat your over-under, to have the relevance, to build a brand new scoreboard, make all the money in a place that wasn't exactly flush with cash, and do some of this without the help of a collective, you've done pretty well.
Austin, based on the hype of what Colorado could have been, or what people expected out of Deion, do you perceive this to be a successful season for them?
I do. Yeah, I think there's like some proof of concept now with Deion that it can work. They had that stretch of games where I was awake at 2 a.m. watching Colorado State, and I never would have done that. I never would have done that before. I think the worry for Colorado is, did Deion do well enough to get another job, but not well enough to get him to a bowl game? Did he do well enough basically to be now a guy that other schools are going to come after? Did he show enough this year that another school would want to take the risk on him? Or are they going to want to see, what does year 2 look like?
I think the question that you have to ask if you're another school and you are serious about who want to reach out to Deion, the wins obviously aren't there in terms of, you're hiring a winner. But are you in a similar situation where, hey, we need a relevance bump. We need to get some excitement into our program. Or, our program is flatlined. Nobody does that like Deion. Now, I don't think he'll go anywhere this year. I think the list of programs that will want to pursue him is small. And I think the combination of, I believe Shedeur can get his degree and graduate transfer somewhere else, but Travis Hunter cannot. I think he sees Travis as legitimately another son. I don't think he would leave him behind. So I don't think you wait there, but I think we'll see what year 2 does. But the buzz of Deion going somewhere else, I think a lot of places saw that. And regardless of what happened on the field, and especially if you're going to a place that has a better product that you're taking over, where he had to start literally from the ground up at Colorado, I could see a place wondering, well, if he had our resources and our roster, and we added that to it, what could we do?
Are you talking to a team in College Station right now?
No.
I was kidding, but can you imagine?
It's a hilarious fit for a million different reasons. It would not work. and it won't happen. But I mean, there's a lot of coaches I would have liked to have seen in a big place, and I'm very curious what would happen to Deion at a big place. And I do think the way that he handled the offense and the lack of patience and making a move that has been relatively universally panned and has not changed their fortunes on the field at all. I think that raised a lot of questions for a lot of people in the sport of like, is this guy doing the things that you need to build a sustainable program? Because knee-jerk firing Sean Lewis because you don't like the way the offense has played the last 3 weeks or whatever against really good defenses doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think there's a few columns that will be written in the offseason. I'm very curious. It was your most successful story of the year, Dave, was reaching out to players who got cut from last year's team.
Mm-hmm.
If he does that again from players he brought in himself, I think the tenor of that is different.
Well, you can't do it, but you can do it more implicitly. I mean, coaches can run off players.
But I'm saying you can't do it every year. I'm not saying he's going to do it with 64 people this time, but that'll be interesting to track, like how he flips the roster into something that's better next year with players that he brought in. And then the other column that I think would be an interest, I don't know if it would be too rude, but the analysis of whether or not Travis Hunter made the right decision with his career would be an interesting one. Because like I've been dreaming like, well, Travis Hunter could be the starting corner for a team that is on the verge of winning the ACC championship. And, maybe he would have been a legitimate Heisman contender if he would have been as explosive and as awesome as he was at Colorado for a place that's in the spotlight. And then on the other hand, I'm sure he's printing cash with his YouTube channel. So like that to me, it's like Travis Hunter is a key experiment if you are a 5-star prospect who wants to go off the beaten path a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think that you can make the case that it's better off at Colorado. And because of that, I think that's an interesting dynamic for other players who are thinking about either playing for Deion or doing something else. So Colorado was an interesting story, but listen, we have another offseason coming up and it's going to be interesting again. The one thing I would love to see with Colorado, and we haven't seen it this year, is Deion's been kind of quiet the last 6 weeks. When things aren't going well, it's not funny. There's not a lot of jokes, not a lot of, printable headlines. He's been a little bit,
a lot of receipts
under the radar. So if they ever got it rolling, when Austin said proof of concept, like, could you imagine how fun it would be to play for Deion when you're 7-0 or 8-0 and actually in a picture for God, Travis Hunter was the king of the world for 3 weeks when they were 3-0. So that is proof of concept. But if you could do that and sustain it for a season or a half a season, even, it would keep getting better and better and better.